Hi, this is the Lynbrook High School Mental Health Team back again with another presentation we hope you find informational but also useful. Today's topic is going to be technology and your brain. Whether we like it or not, technology is now part of our daily life, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon, especially considering we're still in distance learning. So it's highly likely you're watching this presentation off of a computer or projected from a computer if you're here for in-person. So today's presentation is hopefully going to give you a little bit of information about how your body and brain responds to technology, cover some of the benefits of technology use, as well as some of the drawbacks, and then leave you with a couple useful tips to help you make technology work for you in a healthier way.
Of the 7 billion people on Earth, roughly 6 billion own a cell phone, which is pretty shocking given that only 4.5 billion have access to a working toilet. So, how are these popular gadgets changing your body and brain? If you're looking down at your phone right now, your spine angle is equivalent to that of an 8-year-old child sitting on your neck, which is fairly significant considering people spend an average of 4.7 hours a day looking at their phone. This, combined with the length of time spent in front of computers, has led to an increase in the prevalence of myopia or nearsightedness in North America. In the 1970s, about 1/4 of the population had myopia, where today nearly half do, and in some parts of Asia, 80 to 90% of the population is now nearsighted. And it can be hard to put your phone down. Take, for example, the game Candy Crush. As you play the game, you achieve small goals, causing your brain to be rewarded with little bursts of dopamine, and eventually you're rewarded in the game with new content. This novelty also gives little bursts of dopamine and together create what is known as a compulsion loop, which just happens to be the same loop responsible for the behaviors associated with nicotine or cocaine. Our brains are hardwired to make us novelty seeking, and this is why apps on our phones are designed to constantly provide us with new content, making them hard to put down. As a result, 93% of young people aged 18 to 29 report using their smartphone as a tool to avoid boredom, as opposed to other activities like reading a book or engaging with people around them. This has created a new term, nomophobia, the fear or anxiety of being without your phone. We also see a change in brain patterns. Alpha rhythms are commonly associated with wakeful relaxation, like when your mind wanders off, whereas gamma waves are associated with conscious attentiveness. And experiments have shown that when a cell phone is transmitting, say during a phone call, the power of these alpha waves is significantly boosted, meaning phone transmissions can literally change the way your brain functions. Your smartphone can also disrupt your sleep. The screen emits a blue light which has been shown to alter our circadian rhythms, diminishing the time spent in deep sleep, which is linked to the development of diabetes, cancer, and obesity. Studies have shown that people who read on their smartphone at night have a harder time falling asleep and produce less melatonin, a hormone responsible for the regulation of sleep-wake cycles. Harvard Medical School advises the last 2 to 3 hours before bed be technology-free, so pick up a book before bed instead. Of course, smartphones also completely change our ability to access information, most notably in poor and minority populations. 7% of Americans are entirely dependent on smartphones for their access to the internet. A 2014 study found that the majority of smartphone owners use their phone for online banking, to look up medical information, and searching for jobs. So while phones are in no way exclusively bad and have been part of a positive change in the world, there's no denying that they are changing us.
There truly are several benefits of technology and social media that are worth acknowledging. For example, it allows us the increased ability to connect with others not in our local bubble, allowing us to stay connected while in a pandemic. It can be a source of emotional support, and it can also be a forum for community building. It allows us opportunities for self-expression and self-identity. It's a tool for making and building and maintaining our relationships. And it allows us access to other people's health experiences and even to expert health information. And certainly, it can also be a forum for facilitating mentorship and learning opportunities that are not otherwise accessible. Dr. Jean Twenge is a psychologist who studies the effects of tech on people's behaviors and emotions. Her research on iGen, which is what she calls people born between 2005 and 2012, the first generation to spend their entire adolescence with social media and smartphones, has consistently found some alarming trends. The time teens say they spend on social media has doubled since 2006. Currently, the total time teens say they spend texting, online, and on social media is roughly 6 to 8 hours per day. This translates to less time doing other activities like sports, jobs, hanging out with friends, sleeping, etc. National data shows 12 to 17-year-olds who self-report feeling depressed in the past 12 months doubled from 2011 to 2018, rising from 8% to 16% in 7 years. There are also increases in self-reported anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and self-harm behaviors during this time frame. Twenge says teens surveyed report stronger feelings of happiness when they spend more time participating in real-life activities, such as exercise, sports, in-person social interaction, religious services, and getting more than 7 hours of sleep per night. Conversely, students report stronger feelings of unhappiness the more time they spend online using social media, gaming, and texting. Twenge attributes much of this data to A, the replacement of face-to-face interaction with virtual interaction, B, the tendency of social media users to treat others online in ways they would never treat them in person, and C, the comparisons between another person's carefully curated and filtered quote-unquote life and your day-to-day life. So are teens who spend a lot of time online thriving, or are they struggling? Well, this chart not only answers that question, it shows just how sudden and stark the changes have been. Teens who spend a lot of time online are twice as likely to be unhappy. And this chart is one of many sets of data that together reliably show the robust reverse correlation between tech use and happiness. Simply put, as tech use increases, happiness decreases.
We also wanted to share the results of another interesting study that was conducted in 2017 by the Royal Society of Public Health in the United Kingdom. This study surveyed about 1,500 12 to 24-year-olds and asked them how they felt about 5 of the most popular social media platforms: YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and found out how they felt each of the platforms affected their health and well-being, both positively and negatively, through their own self-rating. The respondents in this study rated the 5 social media platforms across these following 14 categories. They rated the effect on their health and well-being in terms of a net positive or net negative effect. The 14 categories being awareness and understanding of other people's health experiences, access to expert health information you know you can trust, access to emotional support, effects on anxiety, depression, loneliness, effects on quality or total amount of sleep, self-expression, self-identity, feelings about body image, building real-world relationships or community building, bullying, and fear of missing out or FOMO. Apologies in advance if the following pictures are a little hard to read, but basically, they're broken down by each social media platform, and any of the scales to the right or areas to the right were noted as a net positive, and any of the areas to the left were noted as a net negative. The thing to pay attention to probably the most would be the average weighted score at the bottom. So you can see on the left that Instagram, the average rated score was a net negative on health and well-being. Some of the things that jump out are really high in self-expression and self-identity, and really low in sleep, body image, FOMO, bullying, anxiety, depression, and loneliness, resulting in an overall average weighted score that is net negative. Same thing for Facebook on the right. The average weighted score is net negative, rated high in the areas of emotional support, community building, and very low in sleep, bullying, FOMO, etc., body image. Here we see Twitter and Snapchat, both rated to be net negative effects on health and well-being, some similarities in the fact of a high net negative on quality of sleep and its effect, bullying and FOMO, but rated to be high in self-expression, self-identity, community building on Twitter, emotional support on Twitter, not quite as highly rated on Snapchat, but still rated to be high there. I think you might notice a theme here that, especially as it relates to sleep, anxiety, depression, feelings of loneliness, and especially bullying and FOMO, these social media sites were rated to be a net negative effect in those areas. Here on the left, you see the site YouTube rated in terms of net positive or negative effect on health and well-being in those 14 areas. Take a look at the average weighted score at the bottom, and that's actually positive. Rated to be super high in terms of community building and self-expression, self-identity, access to information, etc. I think the one thing that jumps out the most on the left side is sleep, and that's consistent across all of the sites. A lot of these have been rated to have a really detrimental effect on quality or total amount of sleep. On the right, we see all 5 sites broken down, and you see at the very top is that neutral line. So anything above that would be a net positive, and anything below would be net negative. You can take a look at how the sites are broken down in terms of rankings, YouTube being slightly net positive rating, and all the other 4 ranging from slightly net negative to pretty darn negative.
As we have learned, there are both positives and negatives to technology use. Let's talk a little bit more about when might technology use becomes a problem. Technology use is a problem when it no longer helps and begins to cause some kind of harm. Exactly how much use is too much use will depend on everyone's individual situation. But you might want to look at how the risk potentially outweigh the benefits. Do you feel pressure to look a certain way on social media or other sites? Do you feel like you have to act differently to fit in, such as feeling pressure to cyberbully? Do you worry about what would happen if important people in your life saw some of the things that you've posted online? Do you feel disappointed if you don't immediately get a reply to your message or post? Can you ever see yourself without your favorite technology for too long? Is your technology use impacting your health, like sleep, eating habits, or your exercise routine? If you answered yes to any of these items, you may need to rethink how or how much you use technology to make sure the benefits outweigh the risks. For some, however, technology can lead to more serious problems in their lives. So here are some additional things to think about. Do you spend a great deal of time thinking about going online, using or checking your phone or other device? Is the amount of time you spend on technology, such as texting or spending time online, negatively affecting other parts of your life, such as your relationships, your performance at school, or other necessary daily tasks? Do you use technology to ignore problems or difficult feelings, or to avoid doing things that you have to do? Do you feel nervous, anxious, or irritable when you don't have access to your phone or other devices? Do you sometimes feel like you can't control your technology use? Or have you tried to cut back on your technology use that's causing problems, but you just go back to your old patterns? If you feel like these apply to your technology use, you may wish to talk with a mental health professional. What works for one person may not work for others, so it's important to think carefully about what makes the most sense for your situation. In the meantime, let's take a look at a few ways that you can find more balance with your technology use. For most of us, completely giving up technology is not realistic, nor is it likely necessary. Good strategies can help us find a healthy balance, enjoying the benefits while minimizing the harms. Here's a couple of tips we can use to help you find a healthy relationship with technology. 1. Turn off notifications. Have you ever noticed how many notifications your phone sends you in a day? The average smartphone user receives about 64 notifications per day. This constantly diverts and splits our attention. It's no wonder many of us struggle with sustained attention issues. Try turning off your notifications. Move social media apps to a secondary home screen and turn off the home screen and haptic notifications for these apps. Just one day of shutting down your notifications can be a fulfilling experience, simply thanks to the comparative lack of distraction and stress that comes from answering to a device in your pocket every few minutes. And while it may seem like a tiny difference, changing a small habit can alter your whole perspective. So to combat the creep of endless alerts, go into the notification section of your smartphone or computer and turn off prompts from apps you really do not need to hear from. Number 2, set a schedule. Explore how often you check your social media or spend time on your phone, and consider either setting a goal for decreasing the amount of time you spend on a specific app or setting a schedule for when and how often you use a specific technology. Regularly choose off-screen activities over on-screen activities. And if you have a hard time limiting technology use, take advantage of apps and programs that limit your access to certain websites, apps, or other features. Take regular breaks during the day. Get away from your computer, turn off your phone, and spend time without technology. It doesn't have to be a long break. Even an hour or two can help. Number 3, have a digital detox before bed. Allow at least 60 minutes of this digital detox before bedtime. Not using your phone as an alarm clock and charging your phone in another room can help with this goal. Try to reduce screen time before bed and keep screens out of the bedroom. It's easy to stay up much later than intended when you're online, gaming, or trying to write a few emails before bed. There's also evidence that the blue light emitted by devices may affect healthy sleep long after you've turned the device off. Number 4, be mindful about how you feel after your social media use. Do you feel energized, engaged, or other positive emotions? Or do you feel depleted, lonely, or other more negative emotions after you engage with a particular technology? Let these emotions guide your use. If it doesn't make you feel good over the long term, it may be time to rethink your use. And, as always, try to avoid comparing yourself to people you see online, including your friends. Remember that people usually just post their good news and their best pictures online, and a lot of people edit their photos and use filters to make them look as good as possible. And lastly, reduce distractions. Many of us split our attention between a few different activities, like playing games while watching a movie or watching TV while eating dinner. Try to designate one distraction-free day or evening a week so you can focus on the most important activity. This is also a way of practicing mindfulness, which is a skill that helps you fully experience the present moment and helps increase your ability to pay attention. Thanks for listening. We hope this presentation has been helpful. And as always, if you'd like to speak with Lynbrook's school-based therapist or psychologist, please fill out the Wellness Request check-in form that can be found on our school website, or email our school therapist directly.